met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. Man, Lord. You supposed to be mad.
They could get their money back was however their money back. He said, but Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three. I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against them up. In town.
Boosie just called out J. Prince Jr. and it's got the streets going wild. This all goes back to the setup surrounding Duke the Jeweler, and now J. Prince Sr. is clapping back hard. For years, folks threw shade at Boosie, saying he lined up Duke. But Boosie's finally done staying quiet. He's naming names, pointing fingers, and dropping heat straight on mob ties. The internet's on fire, the feds are already snooping around, but the real question is, who actually orchestrated that deadly night?
We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot.
And why is J. Prince Sr. so pressed now? Let's rewind. November 2022. Duke the Jeweler, just 29, gets gunned down right after Boosie's concert in Houston. Cops called it a robbery, but the streets weren't buying it. Right away, rumors exploded that Boosie was either behind the hit or knew who pulled the trigger. Word on the block, the two guys who ran up on Duke weren't just some randoms, they were allegedly family tied to Boosie. Not just some street dudes, actual kin. The internet ran wild with it. While Boosie stayed quiet, the pressure kept building. People were convinced he had blood on his hands. That theory stuck around for months. But now, the streets are switching up, and all eyes are sliding over to someone who's been keeping low-key this whole time, J. Prince Jr.
Any real dude that's ever really been in LA, he checked in. Any real dude that's ever been in Atlanta, he checked in. If you moving and you getting money, you gonna check in because you need to know the right places to be and places not to be. That's a businessman.
That's right. The son of Houston's so-called hip-hop godfather. While Boosie took all the heat, the one pulling the real strings might have been hiding in plain sight. Folks are starting to whisper that Boosie was never the mastermind, just a setup, a fall guy. Meanwhile, Prince Jr. stayed smooth, clean, and untouched. But now, that clean image is cracking. And it's looking like things might have been staged from the jump. Who's really behind this mess? It's about to get real. Why is Boosie catching all this heat? Simple, he was there. He hit the stage that night, allegedly invited Duke to pull up, and word got out that Duke's Louis Vuitton bag somehow ended up at Boosie's house. But let's be real. That don't prove he had a motive, it just proves Boosie was close by.
The situation that occurred, that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against them up.
Not the one pulling the trigger, and that's exactly why he was the perfect fall guy. The streets love a target who's already struggling, and Boosie, he had a pile of baggage. Gun charges, old legal beef from the Terry Boyd case. Even though he beat those charges, his name never got cleaned up in the public eye. Folks already had their minds made up. All it took was the right rumor to stick the whole thing on him. But now Boosie's tired of biting his tongue. He's breaking his silence and dragging J. Prince Jr. straight into the spotlight. He's saying it loud, y'all tried to line me up. He claims he barely even knew Duke, just met him at a dice game the night before. Then out of nowhere, Duke shows up solo to Boosie's concert, and hours later, he's found dead in a parking lot robbery? Nah, that don't sit right. Boosie's calling it for what it is, a setup, and now people are finally paying attention. Let's not forget, Duke didn't get hit in Boosie's home turf, Baton Rouge. He got gunned down in Houston, a city Boosie doesn't control. But guess who does have pull in Houston? J. Prince Jr. Even Houston locals are now sounding off online. One user posted, Boosie didn't do that.
Prince, over the years, the decades of doing whatever he's doing, he's been having a way of brainwashing people.
Oh, yeah?
To thinking he's doing one thing when he really up to a next.
This ain't even his city. Another straight up said, if you from Houston town, you know what happened. Boosie had nothing to do with it. And somebody else kept it real, saying, why would Boosie set up a robbery in a place that ain't his? That'd be bold and straight disrespectful. The pieces ain't adding up, but the pressure sure is. People out here throwing accusations with zero facts. One user clapped back saying straight up, Boosie didn't have anything to do with that man's death. Look at J. Prince Jr. And guess what? J. Prince Jr. was right there at that dice game too. Same dude who's been accused of running Houston's whole check-in culture like a street empire. Sources say if you're a rapper, artist, or influencer pulling up in H-Town, you have to check in with the Princes or else. And Duke, he played by the rules, tapped in just like he was supposed to, and still ended up dead. That ain't just shady, that's straight up predatory, because this so-called check-in system is not about safety, it's all about control. Word is Takeoff checked in before he got lined up too. You think that's a coincidence?
Industry, these street homie, that's projecting these rules and then coming here playing like they admirable men with street rules and street exit. Nah, homie, them little was set up that night.
It's the same game on the West Coast. Big U allegedly doing the same thing, making rappers tap in or face the consequences. Don't check in, you get set up. Even when they do check in, some still get caught slipping. Folks saying P&B Rock allegedly checked in too, and look what happened. Even Schoolboy Q spoke up, saying half these so-called protection crews are the same ones lining rappers up. It ain't about safety, it's straight up extortion, just dressed up with a smile and a handshake. So now the Duke the Jeweler case is looking even messier. The dice game was more than just shady, and it was deadly. And now the internet's waking up to it. That night wasn't random, it wasn't just a robbery. And Boosie, he was never the kingpin, never the shot caller, just another name they tried to throw under the bus. Boosie wasn't the mastermind, he was the bait. But things really exploded when Wack 100 stepped in loud and uncut.
You heard Junior was the father, and after your mom did her due diligence, what was your thought?
I think that this girl that had the baby, I think she used to work around Junior. So I believe bro bumped into her around Junior, you know what I'm saying?
He didn't sugarcoat a thing. Wack flat out said the whole dice game was a setup, not a robbery. According to him, Duke the Jeweler didn't get jacked, he got lined up, and the ones behind it, Wack's pointing fingers directly at J. Prince Jr.'s crew. He dropped names too, like Lil Cam, one of the close ones in that tight inner circle. Wack claims the dice game was rigged from the start, the kind of setup where the house always wins, unless someone messes up the play, and that night Duke messed up the script. Wack says Duke started winning, hitting dice that weren't meant for him to touch. That move, it exposed the whole operation. And when you mess up a system run by egos, money, and power, somebody always pays the price. Duke paid with his life. According to Wack, J. Prince Sr. has been fooling folks for years, acting like the neighborhood's protector while secretly pulling all the strings from the shadows. The whole mob ties image, Wack says it's just a mask for something way darker, and Wack ain't the only one going off. Charleston White jumped in too. He said Duke's death hit hard, not just cause Duke had talent, but because it should have never happened. Charleston straight up said it. Mob ties turned Houston into a place that ain't just dangerous, it's unpredictable. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong, this was a trap, and Duke walked right into it. It's deadly out here. Rappers check in thinking they'll be safe. Instead, they walk straight into a trap surrounded by sharks. Charleston White said it plain. Duke got played, not protected.
Man, Lord.
He didn't move out of disrespect. He just trusted the wrong crew and ended up getting clipped for being too naive in a game built on power plays and silence. And Charleston didn't stop there. He took aim at the entire industry, saying this so-called protection is nothing but extortion with a street pass. It's a dirty, unspoken code. Keep quiet or get caught. He said most rappers are too scared to even whisper the truth. According to him, Duke's death wasn't just random, it was ritual, part of a cycle the streets don't dare speak on. But now, the silence is cracking. Even 50 Cent jumped into the convo, not loud but loud enough. He reposted cryptic clips, dropped captions that had people raising eyebrows, and the vibe, definitely leaning in Boosie's favor. It was subtle but strong, like he knew more than he let on. Then came the Finesse 2-time situation, and that's when things really spiraled. Word on the street is J. Prince Jr. allegedly got Finesse's girl pregnant behind his back. And Finesse? He didn't hold back at all. He and his crew let it be known loud and clear that they weren't rocking with mob ties anymore. And J. Prince Jr., silent. Not a post, not a denial, nothing. If silence is guilt, then this one is screaming. Finesse, who once shouted out mob ties in interviews, now won't even mention their name. He's ghosted them. No love left, just cold distance and weird tension. That loyalty, gone. The vibe, office. It's like the whole street code just snapped in half. Now fans are connecting the dots. Takeoff's death, Boosie's public call out.
Walking to his car or something, some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. I had just met dude yesterday. We was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in a garage. We heard this.
Finesse's fallout, and whose name keeps landing in the center every time? J. Prince Jr. Now the internet is going crazy because that tight-lipped silence, it ain't working no more. The whole empire that ran off fear and street politics is starting to crack. People online are connecting dots that were once ignored. One user said, J. Prince has set up so many people and had several knocked. Another dropped it straight. J. Prince took him out, not Boosie. And here's what really makes it hit hard. Duke the Jeweler wasn't just some flashy dude with chains. He was a self-made king out of Chicago. No big label pushing him, no industry plugs, just grind, hustle, and talent. Back in the early 2000s, Duke was sketching pieces in a small, cramped studio. No hype, no help, just vision. He flipped nothing into something legendary. Before long, his work was on Vogue, Elle, and on the necks of Rihanna, King Von, 50 Cent, and even Boosie. His jewelry wasn't just for the spotlight, it was built to leave a legacy. And that legacy, that's what made him a threat.
About him, he's a clown. Like, I love the hip-hop culture. I'm in love with the hip-hop culture. Blood, sweat, and tears went in my movement for the hip-hop culture.
Because when a man rises too fast with too much independence, it shakes up the ones holding the power. The game don't like competition, especially not from someone who's real, raw, and moving solo. Duke didn't just stumble into the wrong parties. He stepped into a lion's den, draped in gold, trusting the wrong faces. He shook hands that smiled but held knives behind backs. And that room, that wasn't just a game, that was a high-stakes trap, a dice game hosted by none other than J. Prince Jr. Now, people ain't asking if it was a setup. They're asking how deep it goes. Sources say Duke the Jeweler cleaned house that night, ran up over $100,000 at the dice table. But that win, it might have sealed his fate. Right after stacking that cash, he was robbed, stripped of his ice, his money, even his phone, then shot multiple times. Not once, but several times. That don't sound like a robbery gone wrong, that sounds like somebody wanted him gone for good. And the industry still ain't recovered. Duke's death hit different. This wasn't some random stick-up. This was a planned hit, an execution. It felt cold, calculated, personal. And now Boosie's out here fighting to clear his name, telling everybody he had nothing to do with it. When footage surfaced of Boosie reacting to the news of Duke's death, the man looked shattered, could barely speak. The pain on his face said it all, like he genuinely didn't see it coming. And maybe, just maybe, he really didn't. But now things are heating up again. J. Prince Sr. is firing back. Boosie's flipping the script now, calling out Prince Sr., accusing him of setting people up. But the streets, They ain't buying that deflection act no more. Why? Because Takeoff got taken out in the same city, and the coroner report said he was hit in the head and torso multiple times. That don't sound like no stray bullet like the investigators tried to claim. That sounds intentional. That sounds like somebody got targeted. And now Jay Prince Sr. is clapping at Wack 100, calling him loud, calling him a clown for backing Boosie's claims. But the streets are side-eyeing all that tough talk, saying Prince is just trying to dodge real heat. Prince tried to play the culture card saying, I love hip-hop. Blood, sweat, and tears went into my movement for the culture. But folks ain't feeling it no more. It's sounding more like a distraction than a defense, because this ain't just about Boosie or Duke. This is about a whole system built on fear, silence, and fake protection. It's about how real ones, the self-made guys like Duke, who built their legacy brick by brick, still ain't safe when they walk into the wrong room, in the wrong city, with the wrong people watching. And in this game, power ain't protection. It's the biggest threat in the room. They didn't just play a part in Duke's death, they earned a seat at that table. His murder didn't just leave a hole in the jewelry game, it shattered the illusion. It exposed how dirty the industry really is behind the smoke and lights. Boosie says he was the bait. Finesse 2 times fell back. Takeoff checked in and still ended up dead. And now, Jay Prince Sr. looks like he's scrambling to hold the walls up. But if this was just the beginning, who's next to speak? Or worse, who's next to vanish? If you're feeling this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think about all this. See you on the next one.